The starship USV Trailblazer drifted silently through the darkness at the edge of our solar system. Commander Joe Harris stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the strange object that had appeared on their sensors 3 hours ago. "What do you make of it, Lisa?" he asked, turning to his science officer. Lisa Campbell adjusted her glasses and studied the readings. "It's definitely artificial, sir, and it's not one of ours." The bridge fell silent. After decades of searching the stars, humanity had finally found proof they weren't alone. "Can we get visual?" Harris asked. Navigator Maya Allen's fingers flew across her console. "Putting it on screen now, sir." The main display flickered to life, showing a dark, angular vessel. Its hull was covered in what looked like scaled armor plates. Damage was visible along one side, with debris floating nearby. "They're in trouble," Chief Engineer Sam Rodriguez said. "Those hull breaches are extensive." Harris nodded. "Any life signs?" "Faint readings, sir," Lisa replied. "But they're unlike anything in our database." Security Chief Greg Bennett stepped forward, hand resting on his sidearm. "Commander, I recommend caution. We know nothing about them." Harris considered this. "Noted, but we can't ignore a distress situation." He straightened his uniform. "Prepare a boarding party. Standard first contact protocols. We go in friendly, but stay alert." 20 minutes later, Harris led a team of 6 through the airlock connecting their ship to the alien vessel. The corridor before them was dimly lit by emergency lighting, revealing walls that seemed almost organic, with ridges and patterns that reminded Harris of reptile skin. "Atmosphere is breathable," Lisa whispered, checking her scanner. "Gravity slightly heavier than Earth standard." They moved deeper into the ship. The air was warm and carried a musky smell. Harris noticed claw marks on the walls and dry patches of something dark green. "They fought something in here," Bennett said quietly. A sound echoed from ahead, a low, clicking growl. Harris raised his hand, signaling the team to stop. "Hello," he called out. "We're from Earth. We've come to help." Something moved in the shadows. A tall figure emerged, at least 7 feet in height. Its body was covered in dark scales, with a powerful tail dragging behind it. The alien's face was elongated, with yellow eyes that reflected the emergency lights. Rows of sharp teeth gleamed as it opened its mouth. Lisa stepped forward slowly, hands raised in the universal gesture of peace. "We mean no harm." The alien tilted its head, studying them. It made more clicking sounds, which Harris realized might be their language. Then, without warning, it lunged forward. Bennett shoved Lisa aside as the creature's claws slashed through the air where she had been standing. He fired his stun weapon, but the alien barely slowed. "Fall back," Harris shouted. 2 more aliens appeared from side corridors. Junior officers Pat Ellis and Damon Clark screamed as they were grabbed. The alien's jaws opened impossibly wide. Harris would never forget the sound of bones cracking. "Get to the airlock," he ordered, firing his weapon to provide cover. Rodriguez helped the wounded Bennett while Maya and Lisa dragged each other backward. Harris felt something slash across his back as he retreated. In the chaos, Lisa managed to trap one injured alien behind a closing bulkhead. "We've got one," she shouted. They barely made it back to their ship. As the airlock sealed, Harris looked through the viewport at more aliens gathering in the corridor they had just fled. One of them pressed its face against the glass, those yellow eyes filled with what Harris could only describe as hunger. Back on the Trailblazer, the medical team worked to stabilize Bennett while Lisa and her team secured the captured alien in the quarantine lab. 3 hours later, Lisa's face was pale as she entered the bridge. "Sir, we've completed preliminary analysis of the alien." "And?" Harris asked, noticing her disturbed expression. "The creature, which calls itself Vecnar according to our translation attempts, it has human tissue in its digestive tract." She swallowed hard. "Not from our crew members. From before." "What are you saying?" "They've encountered humans before, sir. And she handed him her tablet. Their ship's databanks contain trading information. Apparently, in the wider galaxy, humans are considered a rare delicacy. We're being hunted. Harris stared at the screen, at the prices listed next to human body parts. Get us back to Earth, he said quietly. Now, 3 months had passed since the Trailblazers' deadly encounter. Earth's military bases buzzed with activity. The news that humans were considered food by alien species had shocked the world's leaders into action. Captain Laura Nelson walked through the secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. Her steady footsteps echoed in the corridor as she headed to the meeting that would change humanity's future. At 42, with 20 years of military service, she had never expected to lead a mission like this. The conference room doors slid open. 5 people waited inside, their faces grim. Captain Nelson, General Ward nodded. Thank you for coming. Meet your team. A tall man with dark skin stood first. Steve Daniels, combat specialist. His handshake was firm, his eyes evaluating her. Next was a woman with short blonde hair and intelligent eyes. Dr. Diane Miller, cynobiologist. I've been studying our guest. The captured Vecnar is still alive? Laura asked. Very much so, Diane replied. And quite talkative, now that we've improved the translation software. A younger man with close-cropped red hair introduced himself next. Eric Jones, tactical officer. I've been analyzing their attack patterns. The final 2 were military officers Laura recognized from various operations. What have we learned? Laura asked, taking the seat. General Ward dimmed the lights. A hologram appeared, showing the Vecnar they had captured. The Vecnar are just one of several species that hunt humans, he explained. They've been taking people from remote areas for centuries. Abduction stories we dismissed as fantasy were often real. But why us? Laura asked. Diane stood and adjusted the display. Our cellular structure contains compounds these species find both delicious and medicinal, particularly our brain tissue. Steve Daniels made a disgusted sound. So we're space sushi. Essentially, Diane nodded. But here's where it gets interesting. She displayed a molecular diagram. Human digestive enzymes can break down Vecnar tissue extremely efficiently. In fact, our tests show that if humans were to consume Vecnar meat, we'd find it more nutritious than almost any Earth protein. The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? Laura asked. General Ward nodded. Captain, we're authorizing Operation Apex. Your mission is to venture into Vecnar space and capture live specimens of their species, along with any others in this galactic hunting network. You want us to hunt the hunters, Eric said with a slight smile. Exactly, the general confirmed. We've retrofitted the USV Challenger with stealth technology based on what we learned from the Vecnar ship. You'll take a small team into their territory. Laura studied the mission brief that appeared on her tablet. This is more than specimen collection. You want us to make a statement? Yes, General Ward's face hardened. These species need to learn that humans aren't just walking meals. We're predators too. Later that night, Laura stood in the high-security lab where the captured Vecnar was kept. The creature watched her through the transparent wall of its enclosure. Its yellow eyes followed her every move. Can it understand me? She asked Diane, who stood beside her. Yes. The translator works both ways now. Laura stepped closer to the enclosure. Tell me about the other hunters, the ones who buy humans for food. The Vecnar made a series of clicks and hisses. The translator converted them to a flat, electronic voice. Many species, the Morrican eat human hearts. The Jaxtari prefer the liver. Brains are for the wealthy Krill collective. And you? Laura asked. We eat everything, the Vecnar said, its tongue flicking out. Human meat keeps us from disease. Without it, we die slowly. Laura leaned closer. How does it feel to be the prey instead of the hunter? The alien's scaled skin rippled in what might have been fear. You can't hunt us, it said. You are food. That is the way of the galaxy. Laura smiled thinly. Things change. In 1 week, we're going to visit your worlds. And we're bringing our appetites. As she walked away, Laura heard Steve Daniels mutter, I always wondered what alien tastes like. You might find out soon, Eric replied with a dark laugh. The Challenger was ready for launch. Operation Apex was about to begin, and the hunters were about to become the hunted. The USV Challenger slipped through the darkness of space like a shark through deep water. Its hull, coated with light-absorbing material, was nearly invisible against the black backdrop. Inside, Captain Laura Nelson studied the star map showing their position at the edge of Vecnar territory. Approaching the target system, Eric Jones announced from his console, all stealth systems functioning at optimal levels. Laura nodded. Take us in slow. We don't want to trigger any detection systems. The small crew moved with practiced efficiency. After 3 weeks in space, they had become a well-oiled machine. Steve Daniels checked his weapons while Diane Miller monitored the biological scanner she had designed specifically to detect Vecnar life signs. I'm picking up something, Diane said, her eyes fixed on her screen. A small outpost on the third moon of the gas giant ahead. Laura moved to look over Diane's shoulder. How many? Reading about 15 Vecnar signatures. The facility isn't very big, Diane replied. Likely a hunting outpost or supply station. Perfect for our first strike, Steve said with a grim smile. He had not forgotten the footage of the Trailblazer crew members being killed. Laura turned to her team. Remember the mission. We need at least 3 live specimens. We go in quiet, we grab what we need, and we get out. They suited up in the new combat armor developed from studying the Vecnar's physiology. The suits would mask their human scent and provide protection against the aliens' claws and teeth. The Challenger entered orbit around the small rocky moon. Through the viewports, they could see the outpost, a cluster of angular buildings nestled in a crater. No ships docked, Eric reported, and minimal power signatures. This is a small operation. Let's move, Laura ordered. The team boarded the shuttle and descended to the surface half a mile from the outpost. The moon had no atmosphere, and their boots kicked up dust that settled immediately in the airless environment. Diane, is that lure ready? Laura asked through her helmet comm. Diane held up a small device. Ready. This emits the same pheromones as injured human prey. According to our captive's information, it should draw them out without raising immediate suspicion. Plant it 50 yards from the main entrance, Laura instructed. Steve, Eric, flank positions. Remember, stun weapons only. The team moved into position. Diane placed the lure and activated it, then retreated to join Laura behind a ridge of rocks. Minutes passed in silence. Then the outpost door slid open. 2 Vecnar emerged, their scaled bodies moving with predatory grace. They raised their snouts, sensing the fake human distress signal. More followed. 6 in total, all armed with wicked-looking weapons. They're taking the bait, Steve whispered. Laura waited until the aliens were fully exposed. Now, stun blasts hit the Vecnar from 3 directions. 4 dropped immediately. 2 returned fire, their weapons sending energy pulses that melted rock where they hit. Steve rolled and fired again, taking down a 5th. The last Vecnar turned to flee, but Laura's shot caught it in the back. Secure the specimens, Laura ordered. While Steve and Eric bound the unconscious aliens, Laura and Diane entered the outpost. What they found inside made even Laura's battle-hardened stomach turn. Storage containers lined the walls. Each was labeled in Vecnar script, but the translation software revealed their contents. Human parts, preserved for transport to markets across the galaxy. According to these manifests, they hit 3 remote Earth settlements in the past year, Diane said, her voice tight with anger. In the research section of the outpost, Diane downloaded data while Laura secured the area. As Diane worked, she suddenly stopped, her eyes widening. Captain, you need to see this, she said. Laura looked at the screen. What am I looking at? Vecnar medical records, Diane explained. They're all suffering from a degenerative neural condition. According to this, consuming human brain tissue temporarily halts the degeneration. They're not just eating us for sport or taste, Laura realized. They need us to survive. Their conversation was interrupted by Eric's urgent voice over the comm. Captain, we've secured 3 specimens, but we have company. A Vecnar battlecruiser just entered orbit. Time to go, Laura said. Bring the specimens. Diane, grab all the data you can. They raced back to the shuttle, dragging their unconscious captives. As they lifted off, the larger Vecnar ship began firing on them. Evasive maneuvers, Laura shouted as the shuttle rocked from a near miss. Eric piloted skillfully, dodging blasts as they ascended to rendezvous with the Challenger. Once aboard, they launched immediately, pushing the engines to their limits. They're pursuing, Eric reported. Execute jump as soon as we're clear, Laura ordered. The ship shuddered as a Vecnar blast struck their rear shields. Systems flashed warning signals. Shields at 40%. Steve called out. Almost there, Eric said through gritted teeth. The stars stretched, and then they were in hyperspace, leaving the Vecnar ship behind. The crew let out a collective breath. Laura looked at their alien captives, secured in stasis fields. Phase 1 complete, she said. Let's go home and show Earth its new place in the food chain. The desert air shimmered with heat above Prometheus Base. Hidden beneath the dry surface of the Atacama, the research facility had become the center of Earth's counteroffensive against the alien predators. 6 months had passed since the Challenger's successful mission. Chief Scientist Paul Wright examined the tissue sample under his microscope. At 56, with gray hair and tired eyes, he had worked day and night since the Vecnar specimens arrived. Remarkable, he muttered. His assistant looked up. What is it, Dr. Wright? Paul adjusted the display so she could see. Human digestive enzymes completely break down Vecnar cellular structures in minutes. The resulting compound is more protein-rich than anything we've ever seen. Across the lab, the captured Vecnar washed from their reinforced enclosures. They had been given names: Alpha, Beta, and Gamma. Alpha, the largest, hissed softly whenever humans approached. The door slid open, and Captain Laura Nelson entered with her team. You have news? She asked Paul. He nodded excitedly. We've developed what we're calling Compound A. It's a synthetic enzyme based on human digestive properties. When consumed by humans, it makes our tissues poisonous to the predator species. But it also allows us to safely consume and digest their meat. Steve Daniels let out a low whistle. You're saying we can eat them, but they can't eat us. Exactly, Paul confirmed. More importantly, the protein compounds in their meat, particularly from their brain tissue, contain elements that could extend human lifespan by decades. Laura processed this information. So the hunters became our prey, and now they might help us live longer. There's more, Diane Miller said, stepping forward with a data pad. I've been analyzing the information we gathered from the outpost. The Vecnar aren't the only ones hunting us. There's an entire network of predator species with a galactic black market for human parts. Intelligence Officer Kim Foster, who had joined the team after their return, nodded. I've been undercover at a trading hub disguised as an alien merchant. Humans are sold as exotic meat to wealthy alien consortiums. They pay premium prices for what they call Earth delicacies. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. How many humans have they taken? Laura asked quietly. Kim looked grim. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands over the centuries. Remote villages, lost expeditions, people who simply disappeared. Paul cleared his throat. There's something else you need to know. We've confirmed that the Vecnar degenerative condition is real. Without consuming human neural tissue, they suffer a painful death within years. So they're killing us to survive, Eric Jones said. Yes, Paul replied. But now we have Compound A. We can make human tissue poisonous to them, while allowing us to safely consume their meat instead. Laura paced the room, considering. This sounds like biological warfare. It is, Paul admitted. But we've intercepted communications indicating massive hunting fleets headed toward Earth. They know we've discovered them, and they're coming in force. Steve slammed his fist on the table. So what are we waiting for? Let's deploy this compound and show them humans aren't on the menu anymore. Laura turned to Diane. Your opinion? Diane frowned. Ethically, it's problematic. We'd be condemning a species to either starvation or a degenerative death. On the other hand, they've been hunting and eating us for centuries. And they're coming to harvest more of us, Eric added. Laura walked to the enclosure where Alpha watched them. The Vecnar's yellow eyes followed her movements. Do you understand what we're discussing? She asked. The translator converted Alpha's clicks and hisses. You cannot change the order of things. We hunt, we eat, we survive. Laura leaned closer to the glass. The order is about to change. She turned back to the team. Begin production of Compound A. We'll distribute it to all Earth settlements and military personnel, and prepare our captured specimens for the next phase. Which is? Kim asked. Laura's expression hardened. We're taking this to the Galactic Council. It's time to show the galaxy that Earth's predators have become prey. As they left the lab, Paul Wright opened a cold storage unit. Inside were perfectly preserved cuts of Vecnar meat. For the first time in history, humans were putting alien predators on their menu. The Galactic Council chamber was massive, a cavernous space designed to accommodate beings from 200 different species. Ambassador Olivia Martinez stood at the center, her heart pounding but her expression calm. As Earth's first official representative to the Council, everything depended on her performance today. Captain Laura Nelson and her team watched from a special observation area. They had arrived 3 days ago aboard the diplomatic vessel USV Peacemaker, though the name felt ironic given their true intentions. Look at them all, Steve whispered, eyeing the various alien delegates. Some floated in special atmosphere tanks. Others stood on multiple legs, and many looked disturbingly similar to Earth animals. Which ones eat humans? Eric asked quietly. Diane consulted her datapad. At least 30 species represented here have been involved in human hunting or trading. The council elder, a tall being with luminous blue skin, called the session to order. We recognize Ambassador Martinez of Earth, a non-member world seeking redress. Olivia stepped forward. At 48, she carried herself with the confidence earned from decades of international diplomacy. Honorable Council, I come representing Earth and humanity. We have recently discovered that several Council member species have been conducting unauthorized harvesting operations on our world. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The elder's expression remained neutral. Please clarify what you mean by harvesting. I mean hunting, Olivia said firmly. Hunting sentient beings, humans, for food. A large reptilian delegate rose from the Vecnar section. This is absurd. The Earth species is non-spacefaring and was only recently discovered. Olivia smiled thinly. Then how do you explain this? She activated a holographic display showing footage from the Vecnar outpost. Storage containers of human remains with clear labels and pricing. The chamber erupted in noise. Some delegates appeared shocked, others uncomfortable, and some notably silent. These hunting operations have been going on for centuries, Olivia continued when the noise subsided. Thousands of humans have been taken, processed, and sold in your markets as exotic delicacies. The Vecnar delegate hissed. Even if true, hunting non-spacefaring species is permitted under galactic law when necessary for survival. Our species requires certain compounds found only in human tissue to prevent a fatal degenerative condition. So you admit it, Olivia said. It is the natural order, the Vecnar replied. The strong consume the weak. This has always been the way of the galaxy. Olivia's expression hardened. Then you should know that humans have made a discovery of our own. She nodded to her assistant, who wheeled in a covered cart. What is this? The elder asked. A demonstration, Olivia replied, removing the cover to reveal a table set with what appeared to be a meal. Gasps echoed through the chamber as delegates recognized the meat on the plates. Its distinctive scale-like texture and green-tinged coloring was unmistakable. "This is Vecnar flesh," Olivia announced, "prepared using a special human enzyme that allows us to digest it safely. In fact, we find it quite nutritious." The Vecnar delegation rose in outrage. "This is an abomination." "Is it?" Olivia asked calmly. "You claimed it was natural for the strong to eat the weak. Well, we've discovered that humans can not only consume Vecnar flesh, but we thrive on it. The proteins in your neural tissue extend our lifespans significantly." She held up a small vial of liquid. "This is Compound A. When consumed by humans, it makes our tissue poisonous to any predator species that attempts to eat us, while enhancing our ability to digest your flesh instead." Panic spread through certain sections of the council. Several predator species began shouting protests. "We propose a non-aggression treaty," Olivia said over the noise. "All hunting of humans stops immediately, or we introduce Compound H throughout Earth's population and begin our own hunting operations." The council split into chaos. One faction supported Earth's demands, seeing justice in their position. The other half, mostly predator species, called it blackmail and a violation of natural order. As the arguments raged, a Vecnar assassin lunged from the crowd toward Olivia. Steve Daniels intercepted him mid-air, demonstrating human combat reflexes and strength as he subdued the much larger alien with practiced efficiency. "This discussion is over," the elder declared, unable to maintain order. As guards separated the factions, Olivia locked eyes with the Vecnar delegate. "One way or another, humans are no longer on the menu. We'll be predators now, not prey." The council meeting ended in disarray. As they left, Laura whispered to Olivia, "Plan B." Olivia nodded grimly. "Plan B. They need to see we're serious." Earth would now show the galaxy exactly what humans could do when pushed too far. Earth had changed in the 3 months since the failed Galactic Council meeting. Defensive platforms orbited the planet, and military vessels patrolled the solar system. Every human settlement, from major cities to remote outposts, had received supplies of Compound H. Humanity was ready for the hunters, but they were no longer waiting to be attacked. Admiral Laura Nelson, recently promoted for her successful missions, stood on the bridge of the USV Vengeance, Earth's first true battleship. She watched as her fleet of 30 vessels prepared to depart. "Operation Cookbook is a go," she announced to her crew. "All ships report ready status." Steve Daniels, now her second-in-command, nodded. "The hunting ships are ready too." Earth's military had repurposed the design of Vecnar hunting vessels, creating smaller, faster ships built specifically to capture alien predators alive. The fleet carried 20 such vessels. "All personnel have taken Compound H?" Laura asked. "Yes, Admiral," Diane Miller replied from her science station. "Every human in the fleet is now toxic to any predator species that might try to eat them." Laura nodded with satisfaction. "Set course for the Vecnar trading hub at Proxima Centauri. Let's show them what it feels like to be hunted." Back on Earth, Chef John Rivera prepared his kitchen for a special event. Once the owner of a famous restaurant in New York, he now served a different purpose. The sign above his new establishment read "Predator's Bounty." Inside, tables were arranged for an unusual diplomatic dinner. Earth's leaders would host representatives from potential alien allies, species that had also suffered from the predators. John checked the special coolers containing the exotic meats, Vecnar fillets prepared with herbs and spices to reduce the musky flavor, delicate portions of krill brain, renowned for their rich texture, even some rare Moroccan heart, marinated to tenderize the tough muscle. His assistant, a young chef named Amy, still looked uncomfortable. "Are we really going to serve alien meat to humans?" she asked. John nodded. "It's more than food, Amy. It's a message. For centuries they ate us. Now we show them we can do the same. In deep space, the Vengeance intercepted its first target, a Vecnar hunting vessel returning from a raid on the edges of human territory. "They're running," Eric reported from Tactical. Laura smiled. "Let them go. Deploy hunter teams 2 and 4. The smaller Earth vessels launched, pursuing the Vecnar ship with remarkable speed. Using technology derived from their own hunting methods, the humans disabled the alien craft and boarded it. "Admiral, hunter team reports success," Steve announced 30 minutes later. 6 Vecnar captured alive. No human casualties. Over the next week, the pattern repeated. Earth ships intercepted alien hunters, captured them, and sent them back to Earth for study and for food production. News spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. The humans were turning the tables. On the 15th day of Operation Cookbook, Laura received an unexpected message from Earth. A group of alien vessels had entered the solar system under a flag of truce. They weren't predator species, but others who had suffered from the hunters for generations. "They want to form an alliance," Kim Foster reported. "They're impressed by our success against the predators." Meanwhile, at Predator's Bounty, the diplomatic dinner was in full swing. Human leaders cautiously sampled the alien dishes, finding many of them surprisingly palatable. The visiting alien representatives watched in amazement. "Your species has done what none of us dared," a delegate from the peaceful Arborian species said to Earth's president. "You've made the predators fear their prey." Chef John presented his masterpiece, a perfectly prepared Vecnar brain souffle. "Our signature dish," he announced, "rich in proteins that extend human lifespan by up to 40 years. Alien spies who had infiltrated Earth to gather intelligence returned to their masters with disturbing reports. Humans were not only consuming their predators, but enjoying the experience. Markets were opening that sold alien meat to the public. The effect was immediate. Hunting of humans decreased by 80% within a month. Some predator species began approaching Earth with offers of negotiation. Others retreated from known human territories, fearing they might be next on the menu. As Laura's fleet returned to Earth with dozens of captured predator ships and hundreds of specimens, she received a new message from Command. "Admiral, several species have requested formal protection from Earth. They're afraid we might start hunting them next." Laura smiled. In just a few months, humanity had gone from being hunted to being feared across the galaxy. "Tell them Earth protects its allies," she replied. "As for our enemies, they're still on the menu." 5 years had passed since humanity learned they were considered food. Now, Earth ships traveled freely through the galaxy, each carrying the implicit threat of compound age and humanity's newfound place in the food chain. Admiral Laura Nelson stood at the observation window of Earth Space Station Alpha, watching ships from 30 different worlds dock and depart. At her side was Dr. Paul Wright, now heading the Xenobiology Institute. "It's still hard to believe how much has changed," Paul said, his once gray hair now fully white. Laura nodded. From hunted to hunter to something else entirely. The something else was the Galactic Concord, a new alliance formed by Earth and 17 other species. The old Galactic Council had dissolved after human hunting ships had captured 3 Council Elders' vessels in a single day. The message had been clear. No one was beyond humanity's reach. "The Vecnar delegation is arriving," said Kim Foster, now Earth's chief of intelligence. Their new High Counselor personally requested this meeting. Laura watched as the Vecnar ship docked. Relations with the former predator species had evolved in unexpected ways. After a year of humans turning the tables, the Vecnar had sent an envoy with a surprising offer. "Peace. Are we ready for this?" Laura asked. Ambassador Olivia Martinez, who had joined them on the station, nodded. "If their offer is genuine, this could change everything." The Vecnar High Counselor entered the conference room flanked by guards. Unlike previous encounters, these Vecnar showed no aggression. Their posture was almost submissive. "We bring an offering," the High Counselor said, placing a data crystal on the table. the coordinates of all hunting grounds and breeding worlds used by predator species who prey on sentients. Diane Miller, who had been analyzing Vecnar biology for years, looked suspicious. "Why would you betray your allies?" "Because we have learned," the High Counselor replied. "Your species has shown us that the old ways cannot continue." The truth was more practical. Human fleets had systematically disrupted the predator food chains. Compound H had made humans poisonous, and perhaps most significantly, the research Paul Wright and Diane Miller had conducted had led to an unexpected discovery. "We have something to share as well," Paul said. "Our research shows that controlled doses of a modified version of Compound H can actually treat your degenerative condition without requiring you to consume sentient beings." The Vecnar delegation's reaction was immediate. Their scales rippled in what humans now recognized as shock and hope. "Is this possible?" the High Counselor asked. "We've been testing it on your captured brethren," Diane confirmed. "The results are promising. Within a year, we could have a treatment for all Vecnar." Later that day, in a ceremony broadcast across the galaxy, humans and Vecnar shared a meal together. Not of each other's flesh, but of synthetic proteins created to be safe for both species. "Today marks a new chapter," Ambassador Martinez said to the cameras. "Predators and prey no longer, but equals." The Vecnar High Counselor added, "We have learned that there are better ways to survive than by consuming others. Humanity could have exterminated us. Instead, they offered a cure." Not all predator species had accepted the new order. Some continued to hunt in distant systems, but Earth ships now protected former prey species, and the hunting grounds were shrinking daily. At the end of the ceremony, Laura found Steve Daniels looking at the stars through a viewport. "Having second thoughts about peace?" she asked. Steve shook his head. "Just thinking about how quickly things change. 5 years ago, we were food. Now we're kingmakers." "We're something better," Laura said. "We're the species that could have dominated the galaxy through fear, but chose a different path." As the Earth delegation prepared to return home, Chef John Rivera presented a final dish to the Vecnar, a dessert made from Earth fruits. "No humans or Vecnar were harmed in the making of this meal," he joked, to surprised laughter from both species. The Vecnar High Counselor tasted it carefully, then made a sound humans had never heard before, something like purring. "In our old stories," the High Counselor said, "there is a warning about prey that becomes predator. But there was never a story about the predator and prey finding a way to break the cycle. That's humanity's gift to the galaxy," Laura replied. "We write new stories." As Earth's ships departed the station, carrying news of the treaty, the stars seemed brighter somehow. Humanity had put galactic predators on the menu. But in the end, they had served up something unexpected: peace.